Welcome everybody and welcome to my channel. And my guest today is Abigaëlle. She is a multidisciplinary artist and she creates Japanese paper, collages, ink drawings, photography, pottery. She is author of creative writing in poetic prose and about her galactic Terran memories. She is a transmitter of loving frequencies from her soul group, the Mella Collective. She's an anthropologist by training with a PhD in ancient Egyptian iconography. She has professional training in classical ballet. She is a Taal-Ahel starseed from Erra with a soul matrix from Emerya, which means she's Altean. She is also an index of Elena Danaan's disclosure information. Abigaëlle, you have tried a lot of things in your life, haven't you?
Yes, I'm a curious person. First of all, I want to say hello to you, Roger, and your lovely audience, your lovely subscribers. And I feel very honored and happy to be on your amazing channel. So thank you for having me on the channel first. And yes, I have tried many things. I'm a very curious person. As a Gemini, I tend to be a little bit of a butterfly. I tend to try all kinds of things, and I've experienced all kinds of trainings, and I have a lot of curiosity. So yes, this is the result of this is the reason why I've done took different paths in my life.
Yes. Definitely. So I wanted to talk a little bit about star seeds because on the first podcast, we talked a little bit about the paranormal. We talked a little bit about a grandmother that passed away and then came back to the family. And we also got a little bit into like E.T.s and, people that come from other planets and things like that. So it's kind of had a little bit of an introduction and to it, so to the subject about star seeds, and I've talked quite a bit about that before. But would you like to maybe describe, like maybe to start off with, what a star seed is?
Mhm. A starseed, and I'm referring, this is something also Elena Danaan shares, so I'm kind of basing this on her information as well. Don't want to take the credit for it in any way, but what I've gathered from my understanding is that a starseed is really a soul that is not indigenous to our planet Earth or Terra. It is actually a soul that first, let's say, imagine that if source energy or God or source energy, let's say,
Mm,
um, is the desire for source, I guess, is to understand itself through the experience of tangible experiences of being in a body and things like that. So the soul will tend to fractalize itself in different little offshoots
mm,
of itself, and these will become what we could call souls. And those souls will then choose to incarnate in one planet or a world for the first time. And throughout this, on this particular planet, they will try to experience life in different forms. They can be from very simple forms to more complex forms through time. And they're going to do that in different cycles of incarnation. And then, so we're talking about reincarnation here. I don't know
mm,
if your audience is at ease with this, but it's take this just as a theory or as an idea, and then you can see if it resonates with your heart or not.
mm,
And then through this cycle of incarnation, then the soul will, after it has reached a level of growth and complexity, if you want, on that particular planet, it will probably want to experience life in other planets, in
mm,
through other forms, maybe humanoid or other, and then they will perhaps try to incarnate on another planet. And so, by doing so, this soul becomes what we could call a starseed, because it's not. Let's say that when the soul incarnates on another planet, which is not its home world, or what we could call a soul matrix or soul planetary matrix, which is the original planet, the first planet they came and incarnated on. If they choose another planet after, they will become a starseed of that planet, meaning
mm,
that their soul is not originally or indigenous to that second planet. So if we take example on Terra here, we have souls that were originally came from Source and fractalized and first incarnated on Terra as Earthlings, and their soul really is indigenous to Terra, and it's
Mm.
the place where they're doing a series of incarnation, and it's we could call them indigenous Terrans in a way, and they have beautiful genetic background. They're amazing beings with a lot of gifts. We could talk about that, at length. But and then on the other side, you have these souls that came from other planets, from original, if you want to say, soul matrix from other planets that came to Terra, thus incarnated as extraterrestrial souls into Terran bodies. If you want the yeah, in Terran bodies,
Mm.
and they've come here to help and support the raising in frequency on our planet Terra,
Mm.
and support the original or indigenous Terrans in their growth and their the raising of their frequency. So I'm sorry, it's a long explanation,
Mm.
but I think this is kind of a way or a simple way to explain what is the difference between a starseed and indigenous Terran or Terrahu.
Yeah, that was a great explanation. And I
Thank you.
think as well, from what I can remember, is like I've heard about different waves of volunteers that came to Earth. Maybe like there always has been, but like especially when we maybe got into a bit of a pickle as a planet and we needed some help, especially like from maybe like the time of the Second World War onwards, there came like different waves of volunteers from other planets. And like, so, people might be listening to this and think, oh, that's absolutely crazy. How could you ever think that?
I
You know,
understand you feel that way.
but yeah, I have maybe had that thought like before for years ago, but now I consider myself also as a starseed. I consider myself that planet Earth isn't my home. I did come from somewhere else. Somewhere else is my home, and I'm probably going to go back there.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't think it's crazy at all. And I think that if Source, God, whatever you want to call it, it wants to experience itself, then why not? Why not use this incredible vast universe or multiverse? Like there are probably many universes with different like rules and different densities and dimensions. So why not play out in the whole vastness of the universe? Like, I don't think we on Earth are the only living beings, in this galaxy. And I think we've been led to believe that for many years that it's only planet Earth and that's it. And also, of course, the religious thing plays into this as well. And also, I've also had my deconstruction with regards to that. Rethinking it all again. Um, so so yeah, it definitely makes sense. So how would you say that star seeds or people from because I think there are people because I think when we talk about extraterrestrials, a lot of people will think of maybe a little green man or maybe a little gray alien, the kind of the stereotype that they put out in movies and things like this, and Hollywood does their thing. Um, so what would you say if you were to describe some of the beings and species that are helping out Earth at the moment? How would you describe them?
Very good question. What I've gathered from the information I felt to receive personally, but also from other from galactic speakers, people who have had direct physical contact with
Mm,
ETs, which is not my case, but there are people out there who have had direct contact with ETs. I'm thinking about Elena Danaan, Alex
mm,
Collier, Tony Rodriguez. I'm not going to name everyone, but if people are interested in this topic, there's people out there who have met extraterrestrials physically with a physical contact, which is not my case. So what I gathered from their information is that obviously the trillions of species and worlds that are that compose the multiverse, as you say, because it's not just one universe. it's galaxies within universes and universes within multiverse, and it's so huge that obviously the diversity seems to be immense. So there is presently, as starseeds, a vast majority of souls whose original body, like in terms of their soul matrix, is often humanoid, but not only, but often is more humanoid because of the DNA. I'm trying. Sorry, my first language is French, so sometimes
Mm.
I'm looking for my
It's
words. I
okay.
apologize.
Hmm.
You can help me if I don't find the words. But the DNA of those human bodies that we have need to be at least slightly compatible with the souls that incarnate. Those star seed souls that incarnate into our bodies. So you can't have like a ninth density plasmic, entity who's like just some sort of plasma and super high frequency try to get into a human body that has been used to a third density. It just doesn't work. It would be horrible for the body would just not deal with it. So usually the star seeds have to the souls usually are associated with bodies that are more resonant to what we have here on Terra as 3D third density human beings. There's also souls that could incarnate in human Terrans, as we are. Let's call them Terrahu, humans of Terra. But they have chosen not to, or they were not. I don't like the word chosen. They
Mm.
decide not to incarnate as Terra because there's been some issues with some races here on Terra, such as, for example, the Draco reptilians, the
Mm.
Seekar, or the Grey Nebu, which are peoples or species which have been playing a nefarious role on Terra. And I'm not going to get into that whole story because this could take three hours. But
Mm.
because of that, beings that could be similar in appearance, let's say other reptilians, for example, or other greys, which might be actually benevolent because not all greys and not all reptilians are negative. But because of their appearance and things like that, it has been decided that they would not work as starseed here because there would be a little bit of danger of getting some confusion here between the
Mm.
positive and the negative kind of factions of these types of individuals. So that's also an element that plays in the balance. And let's say that the people who on Terra usually tend to imagine, like you say, aliens or ETs as little green men, but humanoids are very, very common, and not
Mm.
just humanoids, but humans. We tend to use the term human for Terrahu or humans of Terra, but there is a distinction here there because there's many, many places where there are humans like us, like in the Pleiades, for example, which are called the Manahu, on different planets. They pretty much look like us. They might be a little bit taller or blonder or black hair or whatever, but they're humanoids like us. Not just humanoids, they're human like
Mm.
us. So we have, similar appearances. So that's also something that's going to be quite a surprise, I'm sure, if one day we get some sort of contact with our galactic friends that they're not all like, looking like octopuses and grays and
Mm.
small green men. So that's what I gathered from the information I was able to 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 discover.
Yeah, brilliant. Well said. Also, like one thing that like I think about is like when they talk about non-human entities, and like I think to myself, yeah, man, that's like that. That's only one type. Like that's like that. That's other species other than humans, but like there are so. I mean, I don't think humans originated like on Earth. I think humans, from what I can gather, what people that are a lot more cleverer than me, that have studied history, that have actually have personal contact with humans from other worlds and things like that, is that humans didn't really originate on Earth, and we talk as though it's like there's only humans on Earth and that's it.
Yeah.
So, do you could you explain a little bit about that? I mean, where do you, in your experience and what in your studies, where do you think like humans have originated from?
Again, I don't want to take credit for information that's not
Mm.
mine. Again, this is something I've discovered through Elena Danaan and Alex Colliers and others. But um, there seems to have been some cedar races,
Mm.
which are called the cedars, or and these races actually are composed of different types of peoples. Some are humanoid in form, some are kind of plasmic consciousness. So there's all kinds of appearances, and those are very old kind of souls and species that have been in the multiverse for a long time. Many of them come from different galaxies and not just from here, Nataru, which is the Milky Way. And so there's a compound of like 24 of these species that actually have come into our galaxy, Nataru, and have been responsible for the seeding of human life forms, and not just human, other life forms as well. Again, I'm not going to get into all the details, but as we are talking about humans, they have seeded, it would seem, in what we call the Lyran zone or constellation, which doesn't mean anything because a constellation doesn't mean anything. It's just the perception we have of different stars in the
Mm.
sky that create a pattern from the perspective which we are in right now on Terra. But if you were standing on the moon or somewhere else, you would see a complete different pattern of stars. So constellation don't mean anything. And for galactics themselves, constellation, don't doesn't mean anything to them.
It's all
So let's say
perspective,
the
isn't it?
Lyran zone. Sorry.
It's all perspective, isn't it?
It's all
Yeah.
perspective. So
Mm.
let's say the man system, which in the Taami language, which is language used by diplomatic language used by many species, which are kind of helping us right now. I'm not going to get into details again, but the Man system is a star where a few planets were, terraformed, and where human life was first seeded in our galaxy, Nataru. And from then, there's been some historical issues in that region where Draco reptilians attacked these worlds, and so these people had to move in sort of diaspora everywhere in the galaxy, and they moved, including to the Manahu or the Pleiades, where they terraform new planets, and that's what we call the Pleiadians, basically, which are a great diversity of people of different appearances, black hair, blonde hair, tall, thinner. It's not all just like blondes and as often we're kind of told by kind of New Age movements, which like all the Nordics or the Pleiadians, they can look very different. And so there's these people there which are definitely human in nature, and but the Cedars also came to Terra, our planet here on Earth, a very long time ago, millions of years ago, and they participated in the seeding of human, genome or form here on
Mm.
Terra. And again, I'm not going to get into the whole history of Terra because there's been after that some new input of galactic history and wars and things. But let's just say that the human form is something quite common in our galaxy, and not just in our galaxy, but also in others.
Yeah, and I think that's very important to note as well. And also, like this, you're not just pulling this out of the air because a lot of our ancient texts they talk about the Pleiades. They talk about people, the Hopi and different peoples. Even the Bible, you know,
Yeah.
lots of the ancient Sumerian texts. They talk about different peoples that came
Mhm.
from different star systems.
Yeah.
Um, and who knows that like what people would have maybe considered as angels back then, and different had their different experiences of people that were shining and things like that. They could have been these humans or humanoids from another dimension
Mhm.
that just came with a message, because angel just means messenger. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm. And support as well, and high frequencies, and bringing beautiful, yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful support to Terahu, who've been going through a lot. We've been going through a lot here on this planet over the last millennia. So
Yeah, and like some people may be watching this and they might like be thinking, okay, but they might be looking at world events and things like that and thinking like maybe not losing hope, but kind of feeling like, oh, if there are other humans and species out there that are supporting us, would be really nice to actually see that visibly. So, I mean, I totally believe that there's a Galactic Federation that's out there helping us. I wonder what's your perspective on that?
Well, I totally believe as well. There's a
Mm,
Galactic Federation, and I'm going to give the precision of Galactic Federation of Worlds,
mm,
because there's a fake Galactic Federation of Light out there, which is kind of a psyop. So it's important to kind of create a distinction here. But Galactic Federation of Worlds, this definitely is something that has been supporting us. It's a great ensemble of species and peoples, cultures that have gathered together to support different worlds, to support each other, different worlds, defend peace, and also to transmute in a way suffering in a way through to peace and balance mostly. Balance and peace, I think, is their seems to be their most important focus. And yeah, they've been there for thousands and thousands of years, and they have participated in supporting us. Although they are not obviously not saviors, they're not anyone to be worshipped. They're people like you and me because it is a military organization. So we have to make this clear. It's not like woohoo people, it's not like things floating in the sky. It's
mm,
really individuals with like you and me who are part of a military organization that has for purpose to support, like I said, peace and balance, and has been helping our planet mostly since the I think it was the 40s. I don't remember the exact dates, but something like that, to help us liberate ourselves and find our sovereignty again in regards to what we call the deep state or more
mm,
regressive energies, either indigenous Terran energies or let's say regressive factions from extraterrestrials, which had not our best interests at heart, but who have been taken out the solar system since 2021 and 2022.
mm,
So I think we're pretty safe there on that level.
mm,
But now the Galactic Federation of Worlds seems to be an organization that really want us to take our sovereignty into our own hands and
mm,
become discerning, becoming in our full power and not depending on any saviors, and
mm,
just want us to really explore our talents, our capacity to raise in frequency and to be discerning about what is good for us and what doesn't serve us anymore on this planet. So definitely a very benevolent organization.
mm. Yeah, and I have to say that my own experience is that I really feel that I had my own spiritual awakening, like at the end of 2022. And that was like a culmination of many things, but going through a religious deconstruction and everything. But I really felt like I connected with my own star family at that time, which is why I feel I probably have a connection to the Cedars as well,
Yeah.
as probably as well as the Galactic Federation of Worlds too.
Mhm.
But they're all working. All the benevolent organizations, they're working together. For the liberation. Not just of Earth, but of our solar system and this galaxy as well. And
Yeah.
it might sound crazy to some people, but I really believe that in some way, like Star Wars was kind of a documentary, although it like it's a
Mhm.
dramatization. But I think
Yeah.
I think in many ways it's based on some kind of galactic history. And
Like Star Trek as well, which is pretty much the
exactly,
Galactic Federation of Worlds, like
yes, yeah,
copy paste, you know?
and really fascinating how like Star Trek became a thing, because
Mhm.
um, yeah, it just I was I was a Star Trek fan, and my dad was a Star Trek fan as well, and so I just kept on. I thought I just thought it was entertainment, and but because like in a way they have to tell you the truth, but they use movies to tell you the truth. That's why I watch a lot of a sci-fi, because you see a lot of the truth in a lot of the sci-fi films and things like that. So, I think like Star Trek was kind of based on the Galactic Federation of Worlds in many ways, or our own like Space Force, or
Mhm.
the history there as well. So
Absolutely.
again, people, some people will think this is totally crazy, but
Hmm.
our governments have tried to hide it for us for many, many years. Obviously, they've had their reasons for that, but I think, I think people are ready to know the truth.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not just the ETs as well, because we
Mm,
could also talk about what we call the Earth Alliance, which is
mm,
basically an association between what we could call ET boots on the ground and positive army or military on Terra, which have collaborated for decades. And
mm.
what we call Space Force, and soon to be the Artemis, I think it's called the Artemis Force now, or something like that,
The
which
Artemis
is
Accords, yeah.
yeah, there's their Artemis Accords, but there's also the kind of the new Terran Space Force is
Ah,
called or will be called Artemis. So that's kind
wow.
of interesting because it's in corroboration with the Artemis Accords, the Jupiter Accords that took place, a couple of years ago between countries on Terra, and with our galactic friends. So I mean, there's been a
Mm,
lot of communication and contact and collaboration actually for decades at least between Terran military and our galactic friends. So it's not just like, saviors out there in the sky and whatever. It's really boots on the ground and mutual support and help between equals.
mm.
You know,
Yeah,
well,
it's like,
that's, yeah.
yeah, true. And it's like the whole Star Trek story as well. It's like kind of starts with like a star fleet on
Yeah,
Earth, and then they get into space and stuff like so again. So again, the truth is coming out in movies
yeah,
and things like that. But
absolutely.
yeah, I want to get into some more personal experience that
Hmm.
you've had because you have a what can I call it, like a soulmate or a twin flame that actually is working for the Galactic Federation of Worlds. Do you want to share a little bit about the story about how you found that out, maybe to begin with?
Ooh, how I found that out. Actually, again, it is through Elena Danaan's workshop online, which is a shamanic vision quest workshop, which really changed my life in 2021. This workshop gave me the opportunity to do some sort of guided meditations with shamanic drumming, and I resonated with shamanism always because I think I had past life as a shaman. So it's something that was a natural way for me to obtain information regarding or recovering memories from my galactic memories. And so I did this beautiful workshop in 2021, and from then on, things started to kind of tumble down. The information came as I first saw myself on planet Erra, which is one of the planets in the Pleiades or Manahu, around the star Ashara, which we call here Taygeta. And it's the planet mostly that is being who the main residents are the Erahil or Ahil, which are tall, blonde people, but it's also the siege of the Galactic Federation of Worlds. So there's also a lot of people that are not tall, blonde people who live on that planet as well. And in my case, I realized that I was actually a mix of what we call a Nahel, so tall blonde, and a black hair Taal, which is another race of people, which are more like us Terrans here on Terra. We have a closer genetic background with them. And so I was a mix of them. And by being a mix of them, I'm a kind of a tall woman with black hair, light blue eyes. And my twin flame, which is a soul that has, as I said at the beginning, fractalized with me when we fractalized from source. And then since then, we've been incarnating, or at least being close to each other, connected to each other through what we could call a quantum heart connection, or we're form of telepathy or heart connection where we were always connected and we love each other and in a very deep and profound way. Those are usually called twin flames. We also have soulmates, which are other souls that with whom we incarnated throughout our different incarnation cycles that we resonated with and we're kind of closer to in our group of souls that we often, incarnate with or either on, yeah. So I'm trying to make this short because there's a lot there to unpack. But
No,
so
just explain. It's wonderful.
yes, okay.
Just share.
So yeah, so I discovered this man. I felt a strong connection with him, and it wasn't just the first time. I did a lot of these shamanic vision quests to recover more and more information through time, as well with dreams. Information, came back to me, as well as with just pure intuition. Claircognizance, because I'm not a clairaudient and I'm not a clairvoyant, but my sense, the most developed sense, is more like a claircognizant sense. So sometimes I'm in my shower, I'm doing something, and then suddenly there's this knowing that come in, and I just know this something is true. I don't know why, I don't know, but and so through all of these different ways, I was able to recover a lot of information about this incarnation on Erra, which is a place where I have so a husband named Ariel, who's also an Taal and Ahel hybrid like myself, and we have a son named Inon. And when the different councils up there suggested or invited us all to incarnate on Terra as starseeds in order to support our beautiful Terran friends to raise in frequency, I was a volunteer. I said, yes, I definitely want to go and do
Mm.
this. I want to incarnate on Terra and I want to support those beautiful beings and in my own humble way. And so my twin flame, Ariel, who decided to join me in this adventure, and we became what Elena calls binome starseed envoys, which work in pairs. So basically, one will incarnate on the planet as a starseed and we'll go through everything that one has to go through in a on Terra, being born in a family and a culture with everything that comes with it, the good and the downsides of it, and the trauma, and then you work on yourself, and you transmute
And
your
the
trauma,
amnesia.
and yeah, it's in the amnesia and everything that goes
Yeah.
with incarnated. While my Ariel, my twin flame, actually engaged in the Galactic Federation of Worlds, and now he is a someone who, and this is something I recovered myself with my own process, if you want. I saw him in a navy blue suit, so that was telling me that he was probably, because of the information I know from Elena Danaan, that he was probably an officer, and that I felt that he was somehow connected to either tactical elements of in his job, and that was in 2021. And in 2023, I had the opportunity to exchange in person with Elena, and she actually confirmed this. And she has the
Mm.
direct contact with extraterrestrial, with her main contact being Thoran Eredion, who said, "Yes, I have worked with this man. I know him.
Mm.
I don't work with him all the time, but I have crossed paths with him." Another of our friends, who's called Valnek, also worked with him in the past, but and he's actually working with the Earth Alliance,
Mm.
which I've talked about earlier, with Solar Warden, which is a big station up there. That's actually the place where the human Terrans of the military join with the Galactic Federation of Worlds and other councils people. So, and he works with military technology. And yes, he seems to be a tactical officer. So, he's a real person working out there.
Mm.
And this is, for me, it was, I was in tears because it was like, oh my God, this is a real
Yeah, I bet.
collaboration. No,
Mm.
because I realized that the name I got was the real name, and that the
Mm.
job I got was the real, and so that was a powerful moment for me to have corroboration from Elena in that way, because I know she actually, has contacts, physical contacts with E.T. So that was a powerful moment. So from there, this gave me kind of the strength and the trust in my own information, which was very important in order to pursue that process of recovering more and more
Mm.
information with time and trusting it. But Ariel and I, we know each other since the beginning in our first,
Mm.
on our first incarnation on planet Emerya as Alteans, part of the Cedars we talked about earlier. And I remember lives with him there as well. So we have a
Mm.
long journey of lives. And just to finish with that, just for people to understand, what's happening after. The thing is that Erra is a planet where him and I and our son normally live. But to make things really woo-woo for all of you guys, this
Mm.
happens 300 years in the future.
Mm.
Okay? So
Mm.
just bear with me here. This happens 300 years in the future. So we came back here to incarnate here. So what's going to happen is that when I'm going to transition, which we call die, but basically it's just we leave the avatar and our
Mm.
soul just goes back to our original, body, if you want. My body is in a stasis pod on planet Era, where I'm going to be immediately going back. I'm going to go back to it as soon as I transition. And from then on, I'll be able to continue my life with Ariel and my son on planet Era.
Mm.
So I know this is out of this world,
Mm.
but
Oh
this
no.
is this is kind of the no, I'm talking for your audience. I know you're kind of open to
Mm.
these things, but it can be a
Yeah.
little bit overwhelming. But So that's pretty much the story with me and Emerya.
Yeah, it's fascinating and beautiful, a beautiful story as well. But I
It
also
is.
like to say, like about this, the thing about the like the stasis chamber. That's also something that's been put into countless films, you know. So they have to put the truth in front of us, you know, and things like
Yeah.
that. So, you know, movies like Avatar, things like that. It's all true technology, you know. It's very possible to put a body
Yeah.
into stasis and transfer consciousness and things like that. And
Hmm.
also when you get more into the secret space program, things like that. We're not going to talk about that today, but yeah, there is technology on this planet that most people have absolutely no idea about it. So that makes complete and utter sense to me that like the stasis chambers and you know, coming on a mission, because I've always felt that I've been on a mission on this planet. I've always felt that. I just didn't know how to I didn't know how to understand it, you know, because it made sense, but it didn't make sense in the context, in this world's context.
Yeah.
This world has never made sense to me.
Yeah. It resonated
Um,
with your heart, but your
it
mind
did.
was told that it wasn't true. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, and when you talked about your memories and things like that, I think our soul knows on a deep level, our soul actually knows. And you know, sometimes words and names and things they come to us, and we think, oh no, that's just my imagination. You know, that's just
Yeah.
something I've made up. But it's I think it's a remembering. It's
Yeah.
something that we remember, and it just makes sense, you know, because like coming from like a religious background, I always thought like we were created on this planet, like, and you know, that was a soul was created on this planet by God and lived this life once, and then after this life was lived, it was like either you went to the good place or the bad place. And that was
Hmm.
like my religious indoctrination, you know, at the time. And then I slowly started to like unwind that and deconstruct that, and it just makes a lot of sense that we're here for wonder. You know, we're not here to be judged or anything, but we're here like to grow as a soul, to experience things, to experience different realities, different densities. So it makes a lot of sense to me that, you know, we would use the whole universe or multiple universes to play out this cosmic reality, you know, and to experience, you know, as being a fractal, as part of a fractal of source or God, we're here to experience ourselves and to, um, you know, to evolve. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Is
what a
that?
fantastic journey it is. I mean, it can be
Mm,
challenging, of course, here and elsewhere, but what a fantastic growth path, and adventure it is for
mm,
all of us.
yeah. So, you know, I have like, maybe it's not so clear for me as for you, but I have like, I do really believe that I am also like, I have like a few memories of the planet Erra as well, and I think I will
Mhm.
be going back there to continue my life there at some point. Um,
I'm
what?
not surprised. It's not a surprise that we're here
No.
together here today and
No,
friends.
exactly. And I think, you know, that Source, the universe, God has a way of putting us together, you know, putting us together
Yeah.
with people that we've had some kind of maybe previous lives with or contact with or in the
Yeah.
past. And that's just that's exciting, and it's going to be also maybe like when we leave this plane of existence and go on to the next, we're going to be like surprised and happy and just elated and just have this great big party, I think, as well.
Yeah. And also find all these people because you bring a really, really important point regarding how we're here for each other to support, but
Mm,
also to help each other remind ourselves or recover memories. This has been my experience in the last 2 or 3 years, how the people I'm close to in this galactic movement, whatever we could say, are people who ended up being such amazing, you know, catalysts of remembrance, of recovery
mm,
of memory, and we're doing that for each other in amazing complementary ways. And this is something that's going to be in my book as well, where I'm remembering a specific place, but a certain landscape of a place. And then
mm,
a close friend of mine will say, "Did you turn around when you were doing your shamanic vision quest?" I'm like, "No, I just saw the sea." And then she said, "Well, I saw the sea as well, but when I turned around, I saw that there was a lot of vegetation behind and there was the city
mm,
and then we're like, "Oh, I didn't know there was a city there." So we it's amazing. Like we actually discover these worlds through our memories by helping each other and being catalysts of recovery of information.
mm,
And I think that was meant to be. I think that was to for all of us to cooperate cooperate. I'm sorry, in an equal way and help each other as star seeds to recover these memories. Although, like you were saying before, I think recovering galactic memories is fantastic. It's important. It's interesting. It's part of who we are as star seeds to remember who we are as fractals of source. But like you were saying earlier, I think the essence of what we're here to do is not so much to be out there, but really to understand that our purpose of being here is not only to support Terra and its beautiful rising in frequency, but really to also grow and evolve as souls.
mm,
This is really the essence. I mean, the rest is just nice, it's fun, it's
mm,
interesting, it satisfies our curiosity, but it's really the growth, the evolution, the transmutation of trauma, the doing shadow work is something
mm,
I often, share. It is This is the essence of why we're here because this is what basically Source seems to be wanting
mm,
for us to do is just to grow and evolve and experience ourselves as her in different forms. So
mm.
yeah, just wanted to bring back the focus on this basically because I think this is really the essence of it.
Yeah, very, very important what you're saying there. Because yeah, well, one of your YouTube channel is actually called the Grounded Star Seeds, and that's actually one of the things that you do talk about. It's like, yeah, it's great to know about galactic roots and things like that, but we are here to be like grounded in the reality that we're in, and also to like to grow as a soul. So that really resonates with me. And also like it's also like a little bit what I talked about with my previous guest, Brandy. Like we're here
Yeah.
to evolve and to grow and to do our shadow work and things like that. And also we don't. It's hard to grow when there is no pressure. It's like it might be we might have this wonderful wish to like have a problem-free life, and just
Mhm.
cruise through and just like have like after this I would like to have a resting life. I really would, but
Yeah, a little bit of a vacation
yeah, a
at
little
least.
bit of a break. But I have to say like if I these last few years have maybe been some of the hardest of my life, but they've also been some of the best and some of the most growing, if you know what I mean as well. So I definitely agree with you on that, that we're here to experience things and also some things that can be really hard to deal with and terrible. And, some of us maybe have chosen to grow up in families, dysfunctional families and families where there's been difficult things that have happened. And, you know, uh,
Absolutely.
yeah, we've chosen some really hard things to do.
Yeah, and those hardships and challenges are really a catalyst of growth because I feel it's my own feeling as well that you know so below is no, what's the expression? It's the same thing upstairs and downstairs is that in
Yeah.
a way, as fractals of source, basically we're if let's say the universes as well have to deal with regressive energies and
Mm,
sometimes we're wondering, oh, why are there these Draco reptilians and grays and whatever and they have tempered with us and whatever. But I mean it was an opportunity for us to get back into our
mm,
sovereignty and to know each other, to know ourselves, to know our strength, our resilience, the same way as starseeds we had to deal with perhaps challenging events and families. And the universe really works as a dynamo where you always need this kind of confrontation between these regressive or destructive energies and these positive or constructive energies, which and the point is always to try to find that balance, and this is the whole purpose, and this is how we grow, is in this search for balance. This is how I see it personally anyways.
mm,
So I feel that it's something that is needed.
mm,
Like you say, sometimes we want a holiday, and sometimes some lives have been too rough. But in the end, all in all, that's what makes us grow. And I feel that many starseeds have come here with a soul contract that they signed because we're always sovereign in this. They signed, they said, I want this really tough one. I want these
mm,
really horrible, difficult, I don't know, parents or family or circumstances, or because I know my soul is going to grow so intensely in those few
mm,
years that, it's going to be amazing. But, obviously we know that kind of theoretically, but when it's time to experience it on Terra, then, ooh, that's another challenge.
mm,
But all in all, I think it's worth it.
mm. Yeah, like you say, it's kind of hard when you're in the moment. It's like it can be the temptation could be to say like, get me out of here, you know,
Yeah, true.
as well. So, um, I don't really want to talk about politics or anything like that, but I'm wondering like what your take is on like the future of humanity of Earth. So thinking about like maybe the next generation, like the young people, like the generation like under us, um, what can like my kids or the age group like that have just maybe like starting to figure out who they are and like getting being finding their independence as well. What kind of things would you say to them like in this world that we are to help them find their sovereignty and the place in this world and to actually uh, be the generation that are going to help change things for Earth, if you know what I mean.
Mhm. Well, this generation, or let's say these two generations
Mm,
after us, are absolutely fascinating. Many of them are star seeds, not all of them, but many of them are. And those particular star seeds are incredible because most of them, or many of them at least, have much less amnesia than we do. And they have these incredible memories and gifts that are still very present in, consciously or relatively consciously. And that is combined with the incredible, powerful genetics of the Terran body that we kind of avatars that we incarnate into, which already have a fantastic, amazing jewel like potential. So these new star seeds that are coming are just like, it's
mm,
amazing. And I don't have children, so, and I don't interact a lot with children, but from what I've seen and from what I've heard from people is that many parents are saying, my kids, they're, starseed parents will say, my starseed kid, they already know everything, like, or they're amazing, they're incredibly open and they're incredibly conscious and they know what they want, they know what they don't want, and they often might look a little bit rebel-like, but it's because they know that this system doesn't work for us anymore. So
mm,
in a way, they have their own wisdom. Their soul knows that this system is gone. It's the past. It doesn't serve us anymore. And so they're already kind of moving towards this naturally. And my very humble suggestion or invitation to them is to continue being who they truly are and continue affirming their own sovereignty and what they, that doesn't mean you have to be a spoiled brat. That's not what I'm saying, but just affirm who you truly are as a soul because you remember, many of them remember. And so more and more we as their parents, let's say, or previous generation will, I think more slowly we're getting rid and transmuting the whole paradigm, the whole system, the whole program that doesn't serve us. But they're going to be much faster at getting rid of it. So I think it's going to be exponential, first of all. And second, I would encourage them to really don't settle for these programs that don't serve us anymore. The formatting and the way schools are and the way we're brainwashed and the way, we're forced to eat certain things and do certain things.
mm,
Many of them naturally know that it's not good for them. They're not going to eat these foods. They're not going to want these schools. They're not, they're not going to want these books or whatever things that are being kind of pushed on them. So I think it would be about trusting themselves, being sovereign, trusting their true nature, remembering who they are by continuing the process we all do of transmutation. And if there's trauma there, to to express it and heal it. And I'm 100%, trustful that
Mm,
they're gonna make it like amazing, and they're gonna change our world like we are already trying to do as well, as well. Um, but with a little bit, it's tougher for us because we've
mm,
experienced the whole heavy thing. They're already kind of in 5D, so they're like, it's easier for them in a way.
mm.
So I don't know if that answers your question, but
Oh, it's wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, and as well, like each generation, I think has their own like task to do in a way. Like I think maybe our generation and maybe like the generation even before us, we were maybe like more like these icebreakers that were breaking up the ice, and
yeah,
that's actually quite heavy. It's a heavy thing to do, and so you need to break up the ice before you can work with the environment and things like that. So that I think that's all the generations are going to be like working together in many ways for the future. And I personally I have a very like bright view of where Earth is going.
for sure, for sure.
I think the future is going to be wonderful, and if we stay on this path. And yeah, come experience this enlightenment, and actually, instead of like being all, going to the new age and things like that, but instead of being practical, and actually practically doing things that are going to actually be a change in this world for the better. Because of what I can gather, like other civilizations out there, like the Andromedans or some of the Palladian societies, they've given up on they don't use money to barter. They barter with things maybe instead, and they're like on a whole on a maybe a spiritually have come up to a higher level spiritually.
Hmm.
Um, Not that that's any like judgment against Earth or anything like, because we
No, no,
are
we're
where we,
equals, but they're
yeah,
just a
exactly.
different
They've
place in
just
their.
had a different journey, and
Mhm.
they found some things out maybe quicker, and
Yeah,
also they haven't maybe had as much oppression that we've had on Earth as well.
exactly.
Yeah. So that
Yeah,
fascinates me
and
as
like you
well.
say, like hence the grounded starseed thing. It's like what you say is very, very important. This notion of like very tangible actions, uh, which is complementary to what you were saying about the children, but all of us, it's really not about wishing for this or wishing for that. Okay, it's one thing to, recover your sovereignty and your discernment and know, but then after that, it's really about engaging. We're here to
Mm,
engage. We're not here to like philosophize on all this stuff. It's really like, okay, how can we change the way we eat? How
mm,
can we change the way we grow things? How can we have a different approach to financial systems and political
mm,
organizations? This is very tangible questions in which we
mm,
all are invited to engage and not just be like, and this is something also Alex Collier brings that I really resonate with, is this whole notion of like, how can we engage now as Terrans and
mm,
Starseeds together and not just be in the woo-woo stuff, which is fun, it's interesting, it's fascinating, it's important to know who you are, but when you do know who you are, it's time to engage. And
mm,
then this is where all generations will be complementary to each other with different gifts, with different strengths. And this is how we're going to change our world. I'm really sure of it. Especially in complementary to the galactic contact,
mm,
official civilian contact,
mm,
which is would seem to be planned for
mm,
very soon. It could be next year, the year after that, in the kind of 5-year window, we
mm,
might be able to actually exchange with our galactic brothers and sisters on an equal level and even perhaps join certain organizations like the Galactic Federation of Worlds or
mm,
others. So
mm,
those two things are complementary. It's not like we're do nothing and we wait for the GFW, Galactic Federation of Worlds, to do things for us. We're going to have to
mm,
engage, but also helped and maybe supported or just
mm.
what's the word when you have someone tutor, not tutor, a supporter,
Mentor.
mentor. Thank you.
Mm,
Maybe we're just going to be mentored by these societies that have done a lot of the work themselves. So
mm.
it's really about engaging. It's really about tangible things, I feel, in my way.
Yeah, yeah, and It's really exciting, very, very
It
exciting.
is.
The future, how it's going to be, and I think that Earth will be. We might need a bit of mentoring, but I think that we're going to be at some point we're going to be on the same level as these other galactic civilizations, and we'll be all be like helping each other. Maybe some of the Earth people will become galactic. What's the word? Ambassadors in some way, because we've been through our
Oh
own
yeah.
troubles, So we'll,
It's like
we'll
old war veterans, that will
yeah.
go into these worlds and say, okay, so let me tell you about that
Yeah,
that
that
experience
time
that we
back
did.
on Earth.
Yeah, because it's been a quite a challenge, and as
Mm,
starseeds and Terrans both, it's been quite a challenge. So we'll see how that turns out. But and I personally, my feeling is that our galactic friends, our brothers and sisters, are actually quite admirative of Terra, even I mean, the original Terrans, the
mm,
ones that are, because not only, like I said, genetically, but also the gifts these avatars holds are absolutely fantastic.
mm,
And we're a combination of their certain DNA elements from them, but also
mm,
here we have our own strengths, which are is going to be also very inspiring for other
mm,
star nations. So again, it's not about, worshiping them. It's really about
mm.
working as equals and in mutual admiration of each person's gifts and uniqueness and diversity.
Yeah. And also, like, there's two levels to it as well because like there's this avatar that we're in now. Like, there's the human Terran avatar that has been hybridized over many like thousands and millions of years, and then there's the soul that lives inside, which also has its own journey as well. So, we're not just this envelope.
Absolutely.
We're much
Mhm.
more than that. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else you'd like to share at this point, the galactic, or
I don't know. If you
maybe
have any
about
questions.
maybe about you're writing a book at the moment. Maybe you could share a little bit about that.
Yeah. I've been actually journaling since I was a child. So I have about 3,000 word document pages of, of journaling with, dreams and shamanic vision quests and personal experiences. So I have a lot of material there, and I thought, well, I think it could be really interesting to put some of that together to offer an opportunity for people to be inspired to also do a journey of inner journey of not only of transmutation of trauma, of shadow work, because this is what I've been doing for 52 years. I've been working on that as my first priority. Always, it's been my first priority. Probably because I came from previous lives of some trauma and things. So it had to be my priority, or depression would take over me. I didn't get into all that personal stuff, but it's been a tough, difficult life with a lot of depression and things like that. So working on myself, doing the inner journey, spiritual journey has been a way for me to transmute some of that trauma from this life and previous lives, and also do the shadow work. And from all of this emerged naturally a form of better knowing of who I am, not only as this avatar, but as a soul. And from there, I was able to recover more of my galactic memories, and also some of
Mm,
my past life memories. And all that journey is something that can be interesting to perhaps to other people who are either starseeds or Terrans, who original Terrans, who actually you want to know, who they are, what's their place in this lifetime, what's their mission or whatever, because this is how it comes back to you, is through that
mm,
healing journey. So I went through all of that, and then I ended up with a lot of galactic and past life Terran
mm,
memories that I thought were fascinating, either as, just beautiful stories that you can share with people if they don't believe it, or real memories, because they're real memories, but then you take it, or, you accept it, or you don't, as memories or just as stories. That's okay. But for me, I know it's memories because I have association with feelings, with emotions, and very precise memories of landscapes and smells and tastes and things. So I know they're memories. But the whole point is that I decided to put all of those galactic memories and Terran memories in a book, which I'm hopefully going to be able to published by the end, self-published by the end of 2025.
Mm.
It's probably going to be a thick book because there's a lot out there, and I might even be have to do a two-volume thing. I don't know, we'll see. But this is what I'm working on, and it's an exciting process to put all of the pieces of the puzzle together because a lot of that information came to me throughout the years in the last 5 years. So I don't know. One day you're gonna get the information that your guy's name is Ariel, but then only 2 years later you're gonna remember that you have a son that's named Inan, and then when you put everything together in the book, it's gonna look like just a natural story where everything is fluid, and you
Mm.
you see all the pieces of the puzzle that you put together throughout the years, and it's just going to be like a flowing story of these
Mm.
incarnations from the
Mm.
beginning, from the Altean times and Emerya, which is my original soul matrix, throughout the Lyran zone, and then on Erra and on Terra here in Atlantis, and so that's going to be fun.
Mm.
Hopefully, it will inspire others to do so, which is the purpose of the book is mostly about inspiring others to do that process of recovery, of healing and recovery, and share because we need to share.
Mm.
This is how disclosure works: is by people sharing, have the
Mm.
courage to share their story and who they are. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to reading that book then when you're finished.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, yeah. But also like it's you have also had like experiences with UFOs as well. You've actually seen physical UFOs and you had like I remember seeing a video recently where you had an experience at the Galactic Spiritual Informers connection um, where you felt you saw a physical UFO or an orb or whatever it was. Would you like to share a little bit about that?
Yes, actually, the last two Galactic and Spiritual Informers conferences, one that took place in Eastbourne in last May of 2025, and a recent one in September in Charlotte, North Carolina. I think I had recovered enough of my galactic memories with my twin flame Ariel, as well as confirmations, like I said, from Elena Danaan, that this is really actually a real person and that he really is, dealing with fleets of ships and things like that. So it made things so real to me and so confirmed how, tangible this was that I think it helped me as well to, I don't know, to in some way be more connected with him as well. So my connection with him has amplified throughout the years, and in the last year has become more and more. And even the last few weeks, I had even more intense ways of connecting with him. So everything is kind of exponential. But in those two events, what happened is that I was connecting with the heart to Ariel, to my twin flame upstairs, and I was saying, because those two events actually, there were some sky watches or flybys, which were either organized by speakers who could actually have contact with um, uh, E.T.s and actually, plan an actual physical flyby of ships. In front of the hotel where the
Mm.
event was taking place, and that was the case for Eastbourne. And this time it was more like a sky watch where people were invited to instead connect with their hearts, with their twin flames or their connections up there and see if they could make ships fly, over the event. So it was kind of two different events, but both were really fascinating because personally, in my case, in both times, I had the opportunity to connect with my twin flame and say, I miss you. I wish I could have a sign from you that you're there out there. And twice I saw some ships or some it's not UAPs because they're actually identified spaceships. So, we know what they are. They're from the Galactic Federation of Worlds, and yeah, they flew over, and I felt a strong connection at that moment. I felt called to look at a specific place, or I have a friend who was filming at the same time, so it was perfect. The timing was perfect,
Mm.
and I was able to provide in some ways some physical proof of it, but at least physical proof that there's some ships out there. I couldn't prove that it was, my twin flame in that ship or anything like
Mm.
that. But the fact that I was called to watch, to see, and that there was this feeling, this telepathic feeling that he was there or that he sent that ship. Yeah, there was, I actually have footage of that on my YouTube channel. So that
Mm.
happened kind of twice in this year. So I felt immensely grateful for that connection with him and with the Galactic Federation of Worlds in general.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And for the people watching that want to know more and want to maybe see those videos, I'll put a link down in the comments to your channel. And if there's any, videos that you want to highlight as well, because it's absolutely fascinating. Because there are ships from the Galactic Federation and from other organizations flying around that work together. They're
Absolutely.
flying around in our skies and they're working with governments, our governments.
Mhm.
And yeah, and that's happening. So
Yes.
it's, it's
And more
all.
and more, I mean, it's just happening more and more because now it's part of the kind of galactic disclosure
Mm,
to make themselves more visible to people, to everyone. So anybody who has a relatively clear sky, you're not living like I am in a very with a lot of
mm,
light pollution. But if you're in a countryside or somewhere and you feel a connection, you feel that the whole notion of being a starseed resonates with you, and you feel a connection out there, just call with your heart, with the sincere heart
mm,
and grateful heart, and you might quite rapidly see some things out there which are not, they're not Starlink,
mm,
they're not planes, because you learn to recognize the difference between, a zigzagging ship that, does this and then disappears versus a plane or a Starlink or other
mm,
satellites. So, with time you come to recognize them. So they're all over. They're all over
mm.
right now.
Yeah. Exciting stuff. Very, very
Yes.
exciting. Yeah. It's been great chatting to you. Is there anything else you wanted to, as we finish, you wanted to share?
Well, just last few words. Well, first of all, I would like to thank you for having me on your
Mhm.
channel. Thank you for it was a pleasure to chat about these topics. We had the opportunity, you and me, to exchange on the personal level
Mm,
about these galactic things, but it's fun to share it with others. I would just invite everyone to trust the intuitions you get in your heart. It's something sometimes I'm struggling myself with. Sometimes we think the ego and the mind is playing tricks on us. I think it's important when we are in a place of the heart, of sincere, authentic place of the heart, we might receive some beautiful messages, maybe from our own soul or from
mm,
connections, maybe galactic or not. And I would just invite everyone to trust this and to stay always discerning, but your heart knows, and frequency never lies.
mm,
So if you feel you have a connection with something or someone out there that sounds loving, and you always recognize the taste of this.
mm,
I'm using the word taste as a metaphor, but like it has this particular thing to it that I recognize this frequency. Trust this, because this is the best discerning way that you're being supported. And because we feel sometimes a lot of loneliness here, and it can be difficult and difficult moments. So having that connection through the heart can be something powerful to help us in our journey to do what we came here to do tangibly. So
mm.
yeah, that's it.
Thank you. What a beautiful way to end this conversation. Thank you so much for your words, and thank you for coming on and onto this channel slash podcast. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. And Roger, I would just like to say before I leave, thank you for what you're doing right now with this beautiful channel. I think you're bringing a lot of people to open their minds and their hearts to other ways of doing and perceiving our world and doing things in our world. Also regarding perhaps more religious oriented people, you bring another perspective, and you do it with a lot of benevolence, open-mindedness, and care. I love how you do it. You never impose things on people, except perhaps today it's a little bit too much for a lot of people, maybe. But you do things in a very caring, loving, open-minded way, and I really honor what you do with this channel. So I
Mm,
think it's going to just bloom even more, and
mm.
you have fantastic people who come on your channel. Brandy, I love the interview you did with her as well. So thank you for everything you do and for your beautiful people you bring on this channel and audience. So thank you.
Thank you, Abigail. That means a lot. to me coming from you as well. So, and you've also helped me a lot on this journey. I also like on finding my own like starseed roots and things like that, and recovering my memories and that. So, thank you as well. So, yeah,
Thank you for being a friend and supportive friend as well. Thank
yes,
you.
same. Okay, goodbye.
All right, take care. Thank you.